Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we have the latest from the live radar. Run for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. We continue to see this big area of high pressure sat over the top of us, continuing to give pretty gloomy conditions unfortunately in quite a few areas, but there are some breaks in the sunshine expected in the next couple of days. However, it's not going to last all too much longer. We've had the high pressure around for a good couple of weeks now, but it is breaking down, or at least breaking down over the top of us. We are going to see a return to wind and rain from this weekend. Already on the latest UKV, out towards day 4, day 5, we can see heavy rain pushing in from the west, not only for western or northern areas, like we can see sometimes, but for all areas, seeing a return to more typical autumnal conditions. As we progress into the longer range, we are continuing to expect a really unsettled final third to October. That's been expected for a number of days now, but what we've been toying with is what sort of pattern is it going to be in terms of the upper air temperatures? Is it going to be a slightly southerly tracking jet stream, maybe northerly flows, cold and unsettled, or is it going to be more of a milder and unsettled pattern? And we've been flip-flopping between those patterns. Today, though, we have seen quite a big shift towards the colder option, with both operational runs we'll look at today going pretty chilly as we head into the final third of October, and all of the ensembles now slowly trending a few degrees below average, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up maybe 3 or 4 degrees below average once we get nearer to the time. So definitely unsettled as expected, but increasingly shifting towards that colder option today. So do remember, if you enjoy the videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar, I'll call this a little bit later on in the evening, around 9:30. You can see nothing really going on once again. Pretty much carbon copy over the last few days. Temperatures, not too bad. You can see it's actually pretty cold across Scotland here, with a few areas of clearer skies. We are seeing those temperatures really falling away over the higher ground. Further southwards, though, you can see where the cloud is lingering, especially for central and eastern areas. Temperatures not falling away all too much, but by day, they're not rising all too much either, as it is feeling pretty chilly under all of that cloud. We still have seen a few bits and bobs of drizzle, but nothing too crazy. Now, if you have a look at the latest UKV, you can see those clearer skies across Scotland, allowing those temperatures to fall. Elsewhere, thicker cloud and a few bits and bobs of drizzle, but not really much to shout about. Thursday's a similar story, and to be honest, it's the same into Friday. And even Saturday, for eastern areas, it's similar. But you can see out in the west, rain is returning. Now, it doesn't push in immediately. It lingers across the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And then Saturday night into Sunday, that's when the onslaught starts. Heavy rain pushing in for all, initially mostly in western areas during the day, but by the evening it pushes through even eastern and far southern areas, and it starts to turn exceptionally unsettled, and it sets the precedent there for the start of next week. And you can see even on days where we don't have big walls of rain, widespread showers pushing in, as we do have really low pressure sat over the top of us. You can see the pressure is really dropping down towards 980 millibars from around 1030 millibars now. So 50 millibars drop over the next 120 hours. Centre of that low positioned over Scotland. You see the ice bars are fairly tightly packed. So if we look at the wind gusts, maybe 40 or 50 miles per hour, but it's nothing crazy. So don't expect stormy conditions, but gusty definitely is looking possible. Now, if you look at the temperatures, you can see as we head into Thursday, temperatures pretty cold overnight tonight. We've got those clearer skies across Scotland, but elsewhere hovering around the double digits. By Thursday afternoon, it's a similar story, mid-teens for many, as we do see generally mild conditions, but nothing particularly great. Into Friday, once again, it's a similar story, maybe 16, 17, but chillier down the east coast with a bit of a North Sea breeze, again with a thicker cloud. Into Saturday, starting to see that wind direction shift, maybe 16, 17 once again, and starting to turn milder from the west. And into Sunday, although milder areas being reintroduced, it's pretty cold under all of that cloud and rain. And into Monday, again, chilly, turning a little bit chillier. Again, it's nothing too crazy. It is, of course, heading towards late October, so these are getting average temperatures by the end of the month. It is always going to slowly drop this time of year as we progress towards winter, but we're just kind of seeing an action here going from high teens maybe last week, mid-teens this week, to maybe low teens next week, as we slowly lose any remnants of summer. Now, do look at the latest GFX. See, high pressure is over the top of us, but it's already extending westwards, already losing its strength. And you can see it fully loses its strength there Saturday into Sunday and Monday. Low pressure piling in off the Atlantic. And you can see why we're thinking about a colder evolution. Jet stream is sinking a bit further southwards, a little bit of higher pressure towards Greenland, allowing more of a northerly flow to develop with those low pressure systems passing through southern areas. Now, it doesn't turn it ridiculously cold. We've not got a massive Greenland block and northerly winds streaming in, but it's generally a northerly flow, and that just allows more colder air to get involved, and that progresses all the way there towards Halloween. Now, if you look at the upper air temperatures initially, it does turn a little bit milder as those low pressure systems do arrive. But it's into the final week or so of the month where progressively colder air drifts in. You can see the -5 isotherm pushes in, definitely looking at the risk of frost. And you can see, if we look at the temperature deviation, quite a big cold pool is sat there across northern and northwestern Europe, potentially colliding with a milder air mass there right towards Halloween. That could produce a lot of heavy rain along that boundary. So generally unsettled, as we've known for a number of days now, but turning towards that colder option, milder maybe initially, but then you can see a lot of blues mixing in there to the final 4, 5, 6 days there of the month. Now, if you look at the latest ECMWF to finish off, of course, the GM still not working, which is a bit unfortunate. It would be good to have its kind of cross-model consensus today, but you can see again high pressure shifting further westwards, low pressure continue to push in off the Atlantic, and again you can see the jet stream is tracking southward to a southerly direction. Northerly winds are pushing in. You can see it's cool and unsettled with the jet stream sat 2 hours south. It's not as I said, it's not a huge Greenland block, but it is higher pressure bridging towards Iceland and Greenland, allowing that northerly flow to develop, turning it cooler and unsettled. And again, if similar to the GFS, put on those upper air temperatures, you can see a lot of greens and even the -5 isotherm flirting with us, which again doesn't sound that cold, but for late October that is pretty cold. And you can see some milder wedges, but generally on that colder side of the jet, keeping it cool and unsettled there all the way to the end of the month. And we can see this all on the latest ensembles if we put on the latest upper air temperatures and precipitation, hovering around average over the next week or so. So when it initially turns more unsettled early next week, still expecting average temperatures, but progressively you can see that mean line drops below the 1991-2020 mean. There's quite a few cold runs now below the 0 degree isotherm, some even very cold runs down towards the -5 isotherm, which is 10 degrees below average there towards the Halloween period. Now again, those are outliers at the moment, but you can look at those latest operational ones, definitely looks plausible. But as I said, generally a shift towards a colder evolution, more cooler runs or colder runs today. The ensemble mean is getting below the 1991-2020 mean, and precipitation is high. So yeah, generally cold and unsettled. Sea level pressure plummeting in the next few days as expected. And if we took at those 2 meter dew points, you can see more and more closer to the low single digits or close to freezing as we do progress there into the final week of October. We do get colder and colder as potentially some proper Arctic air does start to infiltrate from the north. And if we finish by looking at the latest ECMWF, it's similar. You can see upper air temperatures around average or slightly above average over the next week, with that higher precipitation through the weekend and into early next week, into the final kind of week or so of the month. You can see the upper air temperatures return to average and then below average there as we do head into the end of October. Precipitation pretty moderate to high, and again, pretty cold upper air temperatures. The operational run kind of slap bang in the middle of all the ensembles there. So again, pretty in line with its supporting runs. So I have to wait and see exactly sort of the details longer term. Of course, the GFS and the ECMWF were both cooler than average, but both kind of did it in different ways, different timings of low pressure systems, different sort of blasts of cooler air from the north. All of that's going to make a difference, and that's going to be what we decipher over the next week or so. But as I said, the big thing is very unsettled. That's been expected for a number of days, but progressively colder. We've been flirting with that, but does it seem like there's been a shift in the models today, definitely towards that colder option, which I'm not surprised about. But yeah, it is potentially going to be a bit of a shock to the system, both turning very unsettled and potentially much, much colder there, with those upper air temperatures dropping away. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.